Today's games are brought to you by AE Engine Media Marketing, AmericanEagle.com, Bag Tags, Bubba Burger, Bullseye CMYK, Cliff Kid, Expand-A-Brand, Front Rush, Fusionetics, Dick's Sporting Goods. Today's games are also brought to you by Major League Soccer, Nestle Nesquik, Nike, NSCAA, Positive Coaching Alliance, Premier International Tours, U.S. Soccer, Wilson Trophy Company, and Yokohama. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Frisco, Texas, just outside of Dallas, just outside of Toyota Stadium here, as we are underway with St. Louis Scott Gallagher clad in all white against Houston Club Division, also named ID Club Division. They are out of Houston, obviously, coached by Jesus Llarena. Tim Amlong in charge of St. Louis Scott Gallagher. Scott Gallagher will be heading left to right, clad in their all whites. Houston Club Division will be in their more traditional reds. We're going to have a dangerous free kick right here off the early going. We'll try to get you your starting lineups for you in just a moment, but we're going to have the corner kick actually coming up, so it should be an interesting one here. This one dangerously in towards the box. It ends up going off the crossbar. Ended up being a lot closer than I think anybody anticipated. But while we have an opportunity, let's run down your starting lineups. Your starting goalkeepers for St. Louis Scott Gallagher, it's going to be Evan Hoffer. And in the pipes for Houston Club Division, it's going to be Fernando Mendez. Starting in 11 for Scott Gallagher, who's on the attack. It's going to be Nicholas Merlo, Donald Ross, Adam Lucas, Theo Rupert, Marco Anich, Nathan Murillo, Adam Kuntz, Jacob Korolchek, Devin Livingstone, and Cole Houston. And on the flip side for Houston, it's going to be Luis Guzman, Jaime Vega, Tamayo, Noah Garcia, Vladimir Nava, Andre Aguirre, Hector Espinosa, Austin Banos, Arturo Pahua, Daniel Guaxel. Left-footed swing from Livingstone coming in here as Scott Gallagher doing a good job of pressing the attack and forcing some stuff to go on here, but that one was a little bit too direct and ultimately handled by Mendez. It's the tale of two teams so far right now, as Scott Gallagher so far has been in pretty good control and pretty much what you would expect given how things have played out so far in this group. Scott Gallagher coming in with the victory yesterday, 0-1-0, as the loss came for Houston as Tusos Academy was able to knock them off 3-2. Good job to keep it in here by Guaxel. Scott Gallagher in control as they reset it up. Ross to the far side now. Filtered through the midfield. Houston trying to lob one over the top. That's dealt with as Banos was able to track it nicely. And then we get a bit of a cheap foul on the offensive end. Trying to find Guaxel. Instead, it's coming the other way. Merlo. Nick Merlo couldn't quite hang on to it. That'll give Houston a chance to go the other direction. ID Club Division working up the right-hand side, nicely slotted through. Pahua looking for a bit of space. Played it off the defender, so it would at least allow them to keep possession. Long, hopeful drive there as Pahua put a strong right foot into it, but that one was always going to be difficult to put on target, especially from that distance. Hoffer quickly back into play as they go short. Blasted up the field. Trying to chase it down is Lucas. Lucas wanted to put it on that right foot. Almost got a fortuitous bounce, but it ultimately ended up spinning away. Just out of the reach of Espinosa. Kuntz. They worked the triangle there, but not in too much of an offensive end. All the way back. Hoffer right foots it back over to the left. Anic. And now Kuntz. Houston. And that was actually Karolchak. Now Houston. A little bit of space in front. Kuntz. He's got that brace on the right wrist. Up top to Livingstone. Trying to get a little cute with the through the legs pass. Doesn't end up costing them too much. Lucas looking for a little bit of space. None to be had. Rupert with the cross into Livingstone. He was initially alone right near the penalty spot, but that ball was difficult to handle. Going the other way now. Tamayo. Now Aguirre. Foul given. A little bit of a clip from behind. Now the center official going to have a few words there. Now it actually appears as though it's going to be a little more than we had anticipated. Looked like from the initial view that it was just kind of a little tap along the heel, but perhaps just kind of catching the leg just right. And if you've got a lot of strain on it or not enough strain, either way, really. If you kind of hit the Achilles just right, sometimes the leg can seize up, or perhaps even caught maybe a stud. That could be the case as well. Walking rather gingerly right now, but you have to expect that he's going to come back into this game. In fact, there's not even a substitute up at half field ready to come back, so they'll try to get him to work it out over here on the sideline, at least for a moment. Now they're actually calling for the switch. So probably not a bad idea. And now that the fourth official had a discussion with the coach, it does not look like they're going to make the switch. And going to see the medical advisor, as that is Tamayo, who's getting seen to there. But if you're ID Club Division and Coach Urena, you don't want to be down by a man too much, or for too long, I should say. As St. Louis, Scott Gallagher, definitely a difficult team to deal with in and of themselves, and then you put yourself down by a man and it becomes even more of a challenge. But here, Espinosa taking on the players, getting it towards the top of the box, spinning, trying to shoot, was Guzman, but he played it right into the defender. It was always going to be difficult. A good ball in, looking for Guzman again, too tall. Now the counterattack sprung up the right-hand side. Lucas trying to chase it down. He's got Banos right on him. To the top of the box. Well played. Settled down by Livingstone. Looking for a little bit of space. Avoids the little chop from the leg. Throw into Scott Gallagher. Trying to go over the top, collision there, and then the shot put well over the target as that one actually cleared the netting behind the goal. Banos builds it on through, trying to get it to Espinosa here on the near side. Banos with another opportunity. And again, this time does lob it over the top. Espinosa. Kuntz trying to track him down. Another good cross. To the far side. Aguirre stepped into as Rupert came all the way back and took care of that one. Livingstone, as the counterattack could be on here. Numbers not in the favor of Scott Gallagher. Livingstone plays it into the box. Able to cut it back. A good sliding challenge there from Vladimir Nava. Well timed, as that looked like it would have been in the box, but it will concede the corner kick. Taking their time to set things up here. It's going to be a left footer out towards the penalty spot. The initial flick made, they score! 14th minute of play. And Scott Gallagher has struck first. Theo Rupert to get the goal. That is his second of the tournament. Is up here. It's going to be a another player shaken up for Houston Club Division. This time it was Daniel Waxel. To the right-hand side, trying to slide it through along the touch line to Aguirre, but cut it a little too finely, but it did go off a defender. Here's Guaxel looking for Aguirre again, but once again, there's too many white kits in front. Near hand side, pulling it up a little bit as they just kind of work it around the back. It eventually found its way on for Ross, and now over to the far hand side. Houston. Kuntz. All the way back for Ross again. Up the near sideline. Intercepted. Guaxel played it on. Feet taken out, and the referee says no. Trying a give and go there between Lucas and Livingstone, but it wasn't quite on. The final ball just kind of got caught up in the wind a little bit. Here's Livingstone again, trying to slide it through. He had the run being made by Karolchek. Mendez came out to try to make the grab. Now another chance, just wide. Great pressure being put on here by Scott Gallagher. SLSG already with 3 points in their back pocket, winning 2-1 yesterday over Boca Orange County. And obviously with the 3 points already on their side, they can afford to be a little bit more offensive minded, going for those full 6 points, because they know even if they get a draw, that's a good enough result that would likely send them on. You never know what's going to happen on day 3, but if you get a win and a draw in your first couple days, you've still set yourself up pretty well. On the flip side, everything to play for ID Club Division, because with a loss already in their back pocket, even though their goal differential isn't too bad, only -1, if you come away with the first 2 days with only a point, and you're definitely in trouble. And if you lose your first 2 days, you're all but mathematically eliminated. team from Houston trying to work it through the midfield, but Vega ran into a brick wall almost, but they still retained possession of the ball. Give it away over on the far side as Aguirre couldn't quite keep it on the foot. And this will be interesting to see how this kind of tactics play out, because St. Louis is very content, not necessarily to purposely take time off the clock, but work it through the defensive line, sending it through the midfield with purpose and determination. But Houston, already down by a goal, seems a little bit too willing to back off. In fact, right now with the ball, even though it's crossed now, as I was about to make the point, it was 10 yards away from the half-field stripe. There were no red jerseys in the attacking half. Obviously, they're trying to contend with the speed of SLSG. They do have a decent amount of pace, but you'd like to see a little bit more enthusiasm to try to get forward for Houston, because right now everybody is in the 18-yard box except for one. The lone striker right now is Luis Guzman. Mendez able to come out and punch that one away. Scott Gallagher trying to keep it in, but unsuccessful with Adam Lucas. Trying to send it over the top to Guzman, but that wasn't quite on as the defender made a good heading effort towards it. Nathan Murillo. Now to Livingstone as he comes in from the left-hand side. Centering ball for Lucas. Putting it on the right foot, wanting to get into an advantageous area. Instead comes over to here to the near side. Merlot still trying to keep it in. Trying to get it out for a corner. And it ended up rolling out first. Little over halfway through here in the first half. It's been a good back and forth effort here with that 14th minute goal coming from Theo Rupert. Baños. Pahua sent it, and now looking for options. Trying to get it to Guzman or Aguirre, found neither. Hydration break approaching soon. Once again, Scott Gallagher very content to just kind of pass around in this space that's afforded to them in their own defensive half. Livingstone with the little touch, kind of caught up in the wickets of three players. Everybody just trying to poke at that one and put it in a spot where it would have been useful. Instead, it was almost stolen away there as Anic was wise to what was going on. Going the other way now, Guaxel to the far side. Aguirre calling for it, and he'll receive it. Trying to push it up the right wing. Around the defender. Aguirre cutting it back, puts it across. Dealt with at least initially by Merlot. Now all the way back. Baños, left footer. Difficult for the goalkeeper, spills it. Guzman was right there, giving him a little bit of trouble. Aguirre. Guaxel. Aguirre again. Decent cross. Guzman! Didn't quite get the direction on it that he wanted. Otherwise, that was probably the equalizer. So there is the pause for the hydration break. The morning games, the only ones that don't get that extra little bit of time to kind of rehydrate and talk amongst themselves. But it's been a pretty good contest so far. The lone tally, a 14th minute goal by Theo Rupert, as he was there on the back door to kind of pick up the pieces after it was an initial headed chance. I believe it was Adam Lucas to kind of get a piece of that one, but couldn't quite get it where he wanted to, and Theo Rupert was there to put home the rebound. So once again, both these teams trying to either keep their fortunes going the way they are, if you're a fan of St. Louis Scott Gallagher, or reverse fortunes if you're a supporter of Houston Club Division. As I mentioned a couple times, St. Louis unbeaten after one game. A loss for ID Club Division. St. Louis won 2-1 with goals from Rupert and De Vega. So Rupert now has 2 goals on the tournament. On the flip side, it was 2 goals for Club Division, but not enough as they allowed 3. And the disappointing for them is they were up 2-0 at the half and then had a goal go in almost immediately as it came in the 45th minute. And then 2 goals in quick succession in the second half gave Tuzos Academy that victory. Aguirre and Guzman were the goal scorers yesterday. Back into play here in the 26th minute. Again, there's been some discussion as to whether the clock officially stops or not during the water breaks. And given the way that the officials have kind of quote-unquote added stoppage time, I'm going to go with the theory that they do not stop the clock during the hydration break, and then the time is just added on. It'll only be about a minute or so, though, as they kept that one reasonably short. Houston has it for Scott Gallagher as he brings it up through the midfield, approaching the circle and then lobbing one over the top, easily dealt with. Now Guaxel, near side for Baños, back once again. Intercepted by Kuntz. And now Karlach. Almost intercepted now it is. Kuntz playing it over the top, looking for Lucas. He's going to catch up to it. Instead, the defender cut it out nicely and just blasted it away, clearing almost 2 fields. harmlessly out for a goal kick after a decent build-up for Scott Gallagher. Sub about to check in now for Houston. Trying to lob one out over the top to Lucas. Instead, it's going the other way. Wind holding this one up. A little bit dangerous there from Kuntz as he had eyes on the ball, so good officiating there to not necessarily even have any admonishing after the fact. But always dangerous to kind of come in on the back down. Now it's sprung through to Lucas. Can he catch up to it? Defender slid in, but missing the ball was Nava. Lucas will chase it all the way down towards the corner flag and then drop it back. Just out of the reach of the defender. Karolchak tried to give it to Houston, but then his touch was heavy on the first time. Trying to spring Guzman. Ross, near side for Lucas. Calls for offside, go unheeded. That's off the defender. Last touch by Flores, who was the recent substitution. And we will have a corner kick. Nobody able to get that final touch in on that one as it came very close to goal. Mendez was diving after it, but ultimately all for naught. Ambitious chance there for Banos. Kept alive by Pahua as he goes over to the right-hand side. Played on by Garcia. A good cross looking for Guzman. And there's a foul. Will we see our first card? And we will. First card of the game goes to Hector Espinosa. So a yellow card in the 31st minute. So Malik Maroney was the one shaking up a little bit, trying to clear the cobweb, so to speak. But at least for now, he's going to stay in the game. There is a sub getting ready to come in for Scott Gallagher. We'll have to see whether or not that is meant for Maroney or not. Houston from the center circle. Kuntz all the way back to Ross. Long ball up the foot of Murillo. Too long. And now we will get that substitution. will be Marco Anic coming out. Inserted in will be Kyle Weinhold. Once again, want to thank anybody who's tuning in via YouTube to this Turbo Sports production of the U.S. Youth Soccer National Championships. I want to thank all of our presenting sponsors for helping bring us this broadcast. So we've had some exciting games for you here. Hopefully you've enjoyed the tournament so far. Obviously, right now, the fans from St. Louis taking a little more pleasure out of this one. Scott Gallagher's home base, of course, the regionally famous St. Louis Soccer Park, now renamed Worldwide Technology Soccer Park, featuring the coincidentally named Toyota Stadium. Recently picking up that sponsorship for the USL side, St. Louis FC, who have had a somewhat disappointing year after a good start this season, and it seems to be the way things have gone for St. Louis FC. A good cross, looking for Guzman, but too close to the keeper, and Hoffer was there to get some hands behind it. But St. Louis Soccer Park, which has gone through more name changes than I can remember, used to be called Bush Soccer Park, and then had a couple different names after that. But although several areas staked the claim, it was one of, if not the first, soccer-specific stadium. Used to host U.S. national team games, and unfortunately, St. Louis has kind of fallen off the map a little bit in terms of professional soccer. A chance to get an MLS team kind of went awry here recently, and there's still vague hopes off in the distance, but that seems to have kind of run its course. But club soccer is still alive and well in the St. Louis area, and Scott Gallagher, one of the most prominent teams in the area, doing the Midwest proud right now. But Houston's still in it, only trailing by a goal. Still plenty of time left in this one. About 4 minutes left in regulation here in the first half. We'll see if they add on any time for the goal or the water break. Game has kind of settled into somewhat of a midfield battle. There was a lot of quick strike offensive attempts for both teams in the early going, and the temperatures in the shade are reasonably comfortable. You have to imagine there's a little bit more energy being exerted out there in the sun. Coming up the near hand side, not quite on target to get it to Espinosa. Now, Tamayo, good to see him back after being shaken up. That's off the defender. Lucas is still going to get it. Flag is up. Offside the call. So that play was allowed to develop as the officials here, they get some pretty interesting stuff to go along with it, but they don't have those microphone systems that would have allowed that to be called. So Coach Amlong wondering why that was offside, thought it went off the defender. The fourth official concurred, but saying that it was a deflection, not a attempt to actually play the ball, and that's somewhat of a gray area. And again, the U.S. Federation and FIFA, sometimes they don't necessarily have the exact same rules, but in general, they've tried to make rules more and more clear, but it just being an official myself, sometimes it seems like the more wording or verbiage you try to add to a rule, sometimes it just puts more gray areas in it. And that is one to where if it goes off a defender, it's supposed to make it onside because you're supposed to try to get more attacking into the game. But then you start to come in with a tent as Aguirre puts this one into the box. Guaxel chips it around. Guaxel, and that one just scrapes the face of goal, but reasonably wide in the end. But back to that offside. That particular call was probably correct, but it's just difficult sometimes, especially as the AR, to try to determine, well, did somebody just have it go off of them? Did they make an attempt to actually go for that ball? It just kind of adds in that kind of gray area, which gives the referee more flexibility, but also more responsibility. So we're going to have 4 minutes of additional time as we're closing in on the end of regulation. Just about 10 seconds left before we'll go into extra time, or stoppage time, rather. Weinhold in a tussle there with Tamayo. Weinhold coming away with it. Looking up for Lucas, but that pass was not on target. Guaxel. And now Espinosa. Espinosa with a decent cross, but just not enough mustard on it. Now Weinhold. Behind the play, we got some legs caught up. So now conference with the head official in the fourth, just to kind of let her know what happened in that one, as it was mostly just kind of feet getting tangled up, but you don't want to have any lingering effects with anything going on behind the play. But overall, pretty good sportsmanship there. You like to see that. Julian Perez kind of stuck around and made sure that Fernando Gonzalez was all right after taking that spill, because he kind of got the worst of it and initially looked like something might have seized up, or perhaps a problem with the ankle, but he seems to be showing no ill effects right now. St. Louis in good possession here with a 1-goal lead. Almost 2 minutes into the 4 minutes of additional time. One-touch pass from Mataya. All the way back to the defensive line now as Ross has it. Ross, one of 2 captains, along with Adam Kuntz. Weinhold now for Houston. Lobbing one up. Good ball. Trying to go and attack it was Mataya, but it was just a bit too high, even with his height. Now here's Aguirre putting on the afterburners. A good sliding challenge to keep that one away as Ross came over from the central position. Late sub coming in here for Houston. It'll be Isaiah Figueroa checking in to give Hector Espinosa. An extended breather. Not too much extra, though. So there's only about a minute left in extra time. Slicing through, Guzman towards the end line. The cross back, a big save. Guaxel thought he had a goal, and instead Hoffer was able to get the hands to it. Hofer with a great reaction save there, as Daniel Guaxel thought he had the equalizer, and how momentum could have changed with that. Instead of St. Louis going into the break up by 1, it could have been all even. And you have to wonder if that's going to be a chance really rude. Referee checks the watch once again. Whistle goes up and air comes out. 40 minutes in the books plus a little bit extra. St. Louis with a 1-0 lead on a 14th minute goal from Theo Rupert. And that is the difference. Very close to a tie game at the break, as Daniel Guaxel was right there to put it home. But instead, Evan Hoffer with a good reaction save to keep it out. And we have Scott Gallagher in the lead at the break. I'll take a break. When we come back, we'll have the second half of action in this U15 boys group action between St. Louis Scott Gallagher and ID Club Division out of Houston.
Many dreams will fade, but as for you, what will be your fate? When there are seconds left and you are running on fumes, will you be satisfied with almost? Or will you dig down into the dirt, take one more step and make one more play, knowing that good enough isn't good enough? And all the blood, sweat, and tears have brought you to this moment, the moment where pain turns to greatness. On this road, nothing is given. Everything is taken. On this road, winners will rise to the top. Heroes will be made. And on this road, champions will be crowned.
It was 1935. The year that Elvis and Sandy Koufax were born. It was a year of many firsts, including the first NFL draft, the first Monopoly board game went on sale, Social Security began, and Babe Ruth hit his last home run. In addition to these milestones, the National Junior Challenge Cup was founded in 1935, offering a youth competition for young men in the United States. The cup was later named the James P. McGuire Cup, after the late U.S. soccer president, who himself was quite a standout in his earlier days, winning the U.S. Open Cup in 1929. McGuire would lead U.S. soccer and earn an international reputation as an excellent leader.
The Jim McGuire Cup was started in 1935. It was the only cup that the United States Soccer Federation had for youth players. And it was a very good competition, and I can tell you, I mean, this was the highlight of my soccer career to be a champion in 1954.
This storied cup, now the oldest trophy in youth sport.
It has a history, it has a meaning, I think it has tradition. So I think it's extremely important for our competitions, for all the age groups that kind of emulate the McGuire Cup.
Winning the McGuire Cup is huge, just because all that history that comes along with the oldest trophy in youth sports period. That's really big for us.
Who will write their name in the next chapter of the storied McGuire Cup?
welcome back to Frisco, Texas. Just about set for second half action between St. Louis Scott Gallagher and ID Club Division out of Houston. Houston's going to start off with possession in this half, trailing by a goal. The lone scorer of this game, a 14th minute Theo Rupert tally. So the sides switch ends. Houston's going to be going left to right, once again clad in the red with the black trunks. St. Louis in their all whites. There's the whistle, and we're underway for the second 40. Under 15 boys group action. St. Louis trying to keep their record unblemished. And they may have to, as St. Louis and Tuzos both ended up winning yesterday, and those two teams will play each other on the final day. So that one could end up being for group supremacy, depending on what happens in that game, which is taking place right now over on Field 4. So in this age of technology that we live in, you could tune in multiple devices. Hopefully you keep your attention here, but if you have a computer, a tablet that you want to tune in, once again, that other game is over on Field 4. See what else is going on within this group. Line drive kick here, trying to get it underneath the wall, hoping that it would jump. Now, Hofer coming out, and kind of a miss kick there. Got it more with the instep than he would have liked, but he wasn't put in an advantageous position in the first place. Aguirre getting in front of that one. St. Louis trying to let this one go out. Confident goalkeeping there by Hofer. Aguirre went down, but the official was right there saying that the goalkeeper got all ball. A few whacks on the back of the ankle, but no foul to be had. A good no call there. It was all an attempt to go for the ball. Nobody worse for wear. This one going to get caught up in the wind, and that's something that St. Louis is going to have to take into account, as the breeze has not died down the way that it did yesterday. So it's definitely going to affect things here, as that one slicing back away. And the flag never went up, so that one never went out. A good job to keep it in over there on the far side, but if you're Houston, you'd like to be able to get a little bit more on that one, put it back more towards the penalty spot. And Hofer once again called into action, as the team out of Houston has really sprung to life here in the second half. Coach Amlong wanting his team to pick it up a little bit, perhaps feeling that they're seeing this one not necessarily slip away. The result is still in their favor right now, but just not necessarily the energy and the completion of each play that you would like to see. A quick counterattack trying to spring one for Pahua, but instead that was intercepted along the far side. Stepped into by Tamayo as he tries to send one towards the middle. The return pass was not quite on. Lobbing one over the top is Houston really trying to take advantage of the wind. And once again, the referee emphatic that the goalkeeper got the ball. Aguirre calling for it in the middle of the pitch. Rolls off his chest. And that was an easy offside call, as Guzman had never reestablished himself. Hofer puts it into play. High up into the air off the head of Figueroa. Tamayo. Back in the hands of St. Louis Scott Gallagher. And an interception by Tamayo. And he couldn't quite get it on the second attempt after he made the diving challenge. Here on the near side, Rupert, the goal scorer, touches it around the defender, but the run wasn't quite on for Livingstone. Calmly touched out to just allow some aid to come back. Quick in for Livingstone. Now Rupert from the end line, can't keep it in. Weinhold settled down now by Anich. Once again, St. Louis able to intercept. Now taking it from behind. A little bit of a tug on the jersey there. Jaime Vega was slowed down, and now we're going to get a yellow card. 46th minute. So a yellow card for each team now. Back in the 31st minute, it was Espinosa. And now in the 46th, Livingstone. Good fake by Flores over on the far side. Baños trying to get it on. The dummy run was made by Tamayo. A cheeky back flick. Aguirre looking for the return pass. Now it comes. Flag stays down. Aguirre with a good cross. Guzman was in the box waiting. Now Quexel with a good volley. Second attempt, they score! Equalizing goal in the 47th minute. So in the 47th minute, Figueroa has tied things up with a solid strike. Nothing much Hofer could do. Now we get another tug on the jersey. The flag is up, so it'll be a free kick from close to the end line. It'll somewhat amount to a short corner kick. 1-1 your score. We're all knotted up here as Houston has really come out solidly here in the second half. But what a punch to the stomach if St. Louis could put this one in. Left-footed, flick on, just wide. Karolchak got a piece of it, but not enough to steer it on target. So it's a whole new game now. As St. Louis was up for the majority of the first half. All of a sudden now they've got to kind of reset themselves. Especially on the defensive end, as Evan Hofer has really been under siege here. Not even 10 minutes into the second half. Trying to go over the top. Anich bumped from behind. Merlo looking for Lucas. The return pass, a little bit too strong. And now here comes Houston. Coming near side for Aguirre. Little step over move, trying to lob one into Guzman. Couldn't be handled cleanly by the defender. Getting a foot to it was Murillo, but not enough to really avert the danger. Guzman slides it around him. Guzman towards goal. Hoffer able to solidly get behind that one with no rebound. Once again, getting caught up in that wind, doesn't even get to half field on the initial kick. Vega. Not sure if that was meant to be a dummy run or not by Rodriguez. It ended up being just that, but nobody in behind. Good footwork here through the midfield as Karolchak gets it up to Livingstone. Some room in front for Rupert. That quickly dried up. Vega called, I believe, for the handball. So Weinhold coming up, looking like he's going to take this kick. Looking like a right-footed strike. Would put it back towards that far post. Mendez has his wall set up where he wants. Gallagher putting a man in the wall, but with a right-footed kick taker, you wouldn't think that they would try to put it there unless you get a strike with the outside of the foot to try to curl it in. Going for that back post. Deflected. Still alive. Livingstone with the cross. Karolchak getting called for the foul. Eleven and a half minutes into the second half. 1-1 your score. Goals coming in the 14th minute for Scott Gallagher and the 47th minute for ID Club Division. Aguirre. Guaxel. Continued on by Rodriguez. Trying to find that return ball. Finally, Aguirre gets it out. Rodriguez to the end line. Takes a little shove. Not enough in it to blow the whistle, so says the referee. Still kind of a dangerous decision, though, and I think I thought the official was going to come over and talk to the defender because Murillo put himself in kind of a bad position. The ball may have run out beforehand anyway, but once you're inside your 18, it's a little bit foolhardy to kind of just stick your leg in. Now, speaking of foolhardy, that one's settled down right in the middle of the box. Ultimately, Scott Gallagher able to clear it out, but Guzman was right there. Baños to Guaxel. Back through the midfield. Slammed over to the far-hand side. The goal scorer, Figueroa, couldn't quite get it to settle down with that first touch. Kuntz couldn't quite handle the smaller man as Figueroa got the cross off. This one blasted back up in the air. Anic down for Weinhold, sending it up for Lucas. Counterattack thwarted. All the way back was Flores. He sends one up for Figueroa. Sliding challenge by Anic. Weinhold couldn't quite catch up to that one. Is the physicality starting to pick up in this one? A bending run by Aguirre, but the ball looks to be too direct, and that one's going to roll out. Even with his speed, he wasn't going to be able to catch up. Hofer puts a good swing into it. Coming over here to the near side for Rupert. Guaxel trying to pick it up. A diving header clears it away. And the official saying that I believe Livingston, or no, Lucas. No, it was Livingston. Went in with the foot a little bit high. Now here's Figueroa. His speed has really been a game changer in this one. Looking for Aguirre. But that one was dealt with by Rupert. Danger averted a little bit. Figueroa again. Rodriguez was there in support, but Figueroa taking it into the box himself. Now it's played back. Flores, left-footed towards the penalty spot. Spilled by the goalkeeper. They score! Guzman! And the pendulum has completely swung the other way. So Hofer not happy with his defenders, but can't be happy with himself either. Seemed to see that ball a little bit late, given the reaction. Perhaps it took a touch on the way through. Didn't appear to from my vantage point as Houston comes back into the game. But now everything to do for St. Louis. They've had a pretty good game overall. You can't fault the effort. Perhaps rest a little bit on their laurels after getting that initial goal. And again, talking about it earlier, this is where St. Louis really benefits from getting that victory yesterday. Because if the result holds, then you still have 3 points in your back pocket and can have your fate in your hands come tomorrow. But they would very much like to at least get this one knotted up. Vega couldn't quite get the throw in where he wanted. Guaxel didn't get that one to settle down. Too direct, at least it initially looked like. Lucas just barely touched away by Nava. Now Figueroa, who has really been a thorn in the side of Scott Gallagher here in this half. Rodriguez sending one towards goal. It was actually Tamayo. Rodriguez had set it up. Now we got a pause for, not sure if that was an equipment issue or a muscle issue. There seemed to be some adjusting of the shoe at the back end there. Trying to get everything straightened out was Vladimir Nava, who seemed to be a little bit shaken up after that sliding challenge that was really what kept Lucas away from getting towards the forward line. Flag goes up, easy call there. Lucas not happy with it, but he was a good step or two behind the defender. Rupert just blasts this one up in the air. Vega gets it to settle down, stayed along the line. Well played here by Karolchak. Almost got a little bit of a tug from behind, just enough to slow him up, but not cause the foul. Pilfered away by Rodriguez, stepped into by Houston. Now Rupert. Aguirre chasing him down. He's got the speed. Rupert looking like he has the moves, taking it all the way to the corner flag. Ball was won. The bench for Scott Gallagher was looking for a foul. And instead, I believe it's going to be a goal kick. So that definitely will not please the Scott Gallagher players, nor the coach. So we're in the 61st minute here as we've entered the hydration break. And my, oh my, how this one has swung around. It seemed like Scott Gallagher was going to be able to run away with this one, as they were creating a lot of good chances in that first half, but they could only put one in the back of the net. Theo Rupert back with that 14th minute goal. But there really wasn't a sense that you were going to think that they were going to really miss any of those chances. You still felt like they were in control of the game, but Houston really, whether their coach Urena said something or just they felt it with them themselves, they came out in the second half and have really taken this game by the scruff with a 47th and a 56-minute goal to put themselves up by one after trailing for almost the entirety of the first half. So it's been a big turnaround for Houston, and now it's up to St. Louis to try to find an answer. So just about a minute taken up on the hydration break, so you wouldn't think that'll add too much into stoppage time. That one too difficult to handle over on the far side. Lucas trying to track back. Looked like there was a bit of a tug there on Figueroa, but Lucas getting away with it. Houston trying to get it back. Instead, it's Rodriguez. Now Guaxel setting one through Figueroa, using that speed to his advantage. Good sliding challenge there to thwart everything by Adam Kuntz. And then Figueroa a little bit too ambitious, trying to get that one back. These two teams have one more game. Houston is going to play Boca Orange County tomorrow at 7 a.m. And St. Louis Scott Gallagher will play Tuzos Academy also at 7 a.m. tomorrow on field 14 and 15 respectively. So make sure you check the tournament page for any additional updates on that, as well as the standings. Now Rupert trying to take advantage of the miscue into the box. Couldn't be settled down as the wind caught a hold of it and just kind of in between ideas there. Karolchak thought he had gotten himself into a decent position, but not to be so. Interesting how the tables have turned just with a couple goals. St. Louis, when they were in the lead, was very content to just kind of play it along the back, kill off a little bit of time. They weren't time wasting per se, but they weren't in any hurry to send the ball forward. Now all of a sudden they're trying to get every stoppage down and placed very quickly so that Houston can't necessarily try to stall for themselves. Speaking of Houston, here is Cole Houston sending a long ball over the top, looking for Livingstone. He's going to find it. The cross was blocked. Second attempt will go out, and it will be a corner kick. Adam Lucas looking like he wants to take this, and instead he's called off by Livingstone. Looked like Gallagher wanted to go short with it. Instead, that was spotted, and now they'll put it into play. Left footer caught up high in the air. That one was initially won by Merlo. Second attempt. This time it'll go out again. So St. Louis is going to make a substitution. Connor De Vega will come in. He got a goal yesterday in that 2-1 win over Barca Orange County. He replaces Nicolas Merlo, so we'll see if De Vega can pull off another one. This one too close to the 6-yard area, and that's ultimately dealt with and sent away by Tamayo. Back into the mixer, but not with much purpose. Houston content to clear their lines. This one going to go almost the entirety of the field. Houston gets it to settle down. Kuntz was also there. Again, Gallagher trying to send in those long balls. They'll get another corner kick. Defender claiming that he was taken down, the referee having none of it. It was Vladimir Nava who's had a tough time of it, not in terms of defending, but just he's been hitting the deck a lot. Had a brief muscle issue, but kind of shake that off. Livingstone, again, high in the air, a lot of backspin. Difficult to get any power behind that. Flick towards goal and then punched away by Mendez. Rebound chance sent over the target. And you like the positioning of those crosses off the corner kicks, but you can blame the wind a little bit as it kind of gets held up. But you'd like a little bit more line drive on those strikes. As coming back into the game is Arturo Pahua. But again, back to those corner kick strikes. Just too much air on that. Even if you're able to get up and get your head behind it, it's just very difficult to generate any kind of power, especially if you're trying to put it back out towards the penalty spot. 12 yards is a good distance to try to head that in. Aguirre taken down, so he'll earn himself a free kick. Just about 11 minutes left to go in regulation. And the blast by Pahua. Ultimately handled by Hofer, but a good job by Figueroa to get in there and look for a rebound after Hofer spilled that one. Here's Weinhold. Sandwiched. Still gets the pass off. Flag stays down. Lucas looking for a bit of space. Has to peel it back. Now Livingstone from the top of the box. Left-footed strike! And it goes wide. That was about as good a chance as St. Louis is likely to see. Not necessarily wide open, but still a good look from Livingstone. He got that left foot behind it. I think he was trying to bend it a little bit, and it ended up striking it about as true as he could. Wind carries this one all the way up. Livingstone and Pahua striking at that one. Over the top, looking for Rodriguez. Guaxel, Weinhold able to steal it from behind. Now a bit of a wrestling match, and the shoulder turn was enough. Looks like Guaxel's going to get some admonishing here, and he will go into the book. So a yellow card for Daniel Guaxel in the 71st minute. Just about 9 minutes left to go here in regulation. Time cannot go quickly enough for Houston. It's going too fast if you're a St. Louis fan, as there was a volley attempt off the foot of Houston. Ended up finding its way through that maze of bodies, but a good 5 to 10 feet wide. Good cutback from the far side. Scott Gallagher pushing it up. And De Vega was going for glory. Probably would have been wiser to either set up a cross or at least maintain possession. And you can start to see the body language starting to go a little bit south for Scott Gallagher. They're not used to being in this position too often. They're definitely not defeated yet, but shoulders slumping a little bit. Hands kind of being upturned, asking what's going on here. And that definitely favors Houston right now. They have some defending to do here. Lucas gets it into the box. The ball was gained, but the penalty given. Jesus Llerena claiming that he got the ball, which he did indeed, but he chopped the player in the aftermath, and that was enough to get the penalty given. Yellow card to Jorge Flores. And now stepping up to take this kick. The shot right in. Karolchak gets the equalizer. So 2-2 your score now after Jacob Karolchak evens it up with the penalty kick strike. I must say, personally, I'm not a fan of those slow approaches. It seems like you give the goalkeeper too much time to read your body language. But whatever Karolchak did was enough to freeze Mendez, and he couldn't even make an attempt. So new life now for the team out of St. Louis. back and forth we've gone. St. Louis scored first. Sandwiched in between their two goals were the two from Houston. One for Theo Rupert in the 14th minute. Then goals from Isaiah Figueroa in the 47th and Luis Guzman in the 56th. And then that penalty kick goal just moments ago from Jacob Karolchak. A solid strike. Couldn't be caught initially by Hoffer, but he parried it down right to himself. Lobbing one over the top, getting it on for Lucas. Weinhold sends it out to the far side for De Vega. Looking for options, was sending that one in towards goal and not sure if that was intended to be a cross. Livingstone was making the run. Now up to Lucas again. He's onside but slips. Now Nava trying to push him off, as is Flores, who picked up that yellow card on the challenge that resulted in the penalty kick. Now Figueroa slides one through, looking for Guzman, instead cut out. Karolchak, who's got the biggest goal of the tournament so far for St. Louis, Scott Gallagher. And now Aguirre frustrated with that call. Subs coming in for both teams. Rupert is going to come out for Scott Gallagher. Coming in is Tommy Mattia. Back into the game as well for ID Club Division. It's going to be Hector Espinosa. And that will give Isaiah Figueroa rest. A well-earned rest, as he was disappointed to come out, but you have to say that he has really been a game changer in this one. Inserted in the second half, and his speed really threw off the St. Louis defenders. A high ball catching the wind a little bit too much. He wanted to put backspin on that one, allow the runs to come underneath, but it just spun a little bit too much in the wind. The throw-in was actually given to Houston. The fourth official was the one that called it. Not sure it was necessarily the right call, although he's got a similar vantage point to myself. Now Weinhold trying to get it up. Mattia was there. Weinhold again. Instead, Houston going the other direction. De Vega around the lunging defender. Now space in front to the far side for Lucas. Across, looking, and the head ball did not find where it was wanted. The flag was up anyway, but Tommy Mattia got a little bit overeager there. Didn't quite get the flick around the ball that he would have liked. Now near side for Aguirre. Defenders closing in. The cross! Didn't find anybody. It was cleared away by Kuntz. Counterattack could be on here for St. Louis. Trying to spring Lucas as he goes over towards the right wing. Taken down from behind. Now this is going to be an interesting decision. That was Flores to take him down. There's the second yellow, and he is done. Not too much he could do. I think he had players coming back in support, but from his vantage point, he felt that he had to take the player down. A quote-unquote professional foul. And Jorge Flores is done for the day, and he will not be allowed to play tomorrow either. That could be a huge blow for his team, as he's been a pretty solid defender. But the soft red sees that his day is done. Houston puts a right foot into it. A good curler away from the goalkeeper. Now they put it into the side netting. There were some fans on the far side that had briefly thought that that one went in, but it was not to be there. The winner was not quite there. A reported 4 minutes of additional time to be added on to the end of this half. Now the question is whether or not one of these teams will be able to utilize that and find the winner at the death. Rodriguez, a little too heavy on that first touch. Here's Livingston, around two defenders, and he's going to get called as he took one down in the process. That might be Vladimir Nava. Hard to see from this vantage point. But he has really had a tough go of it here today. Gone down a couple times with injuries. That was indeed Nava, who's looking to the sidelines perhaps for a substitution, but with time ticking away, Houston reluctant to waste any time putting players on and off. Blasted into the area by Baños. Down for Tamayo, puts it on the right foot, gets a little fake onto it, looking near side for Aguirre, but it wasn't quite there. Now the counterattack by Scott Gallagher. Played over towards the sideline, but Livingston unable to catch up to that one. It's going to be a foul. Bit of a careless one there, perhaps fortunate not to go in the book. Not necessarily an overt dangerous challenge, but it would be somewhat understandable if the yellow card came out, but instead it's just a foul. Houston trying to clear it away once again, pop back up in the air, and it catches the breeze heading back towards that 18-yard box. Guaxel couldn't quite get it down. Solid play by Mataya, getting it up over towards Lucas, carrying it to the right. De Vega gives it up. Vega, Rodriguez. Almost touched it a little too hard. Keeps it in. But that allows the defenders to get back in position. So Nava, who had made that run up from his defensive spot, is clearly cramping up. Seems to be somewhat of a groin issue, given the stretches that he's working out, and those are tough to deal with. Sometimes you can get through a hamstring or a calf even, but the groin, sometimes it can feel all right, and then all of a sudden you try to make a lateral move and just seizes up at the wrong moment. Hofer coming out to snuff out that potential attack. We have reached the full 44 minutes, so right now anything else is just icing on the cake. There is the final whistle. So St. Louis, Scott Gallagher scored the initial chance in the 14th minute. 2 goals from ID Club Division out of Houston. Looked like it might give them the 3 points. Instead, both sides will have to settle for one, as the penalty kick by Jacob Karolchak was the equalizer. And now everything left to do for Houston coming up tomorrow, as they only have 1 point after 2 games. That's going to make things very difficult depending on the result of the other game. That'll wrap up our coverage here of this U15 boys group action, though. I'm Todd Panula for everybody here at Turbo Sports. We appreciate your viewership, and until the next time, we'll see you then.